Good evening. I call the meeting of October 22nd, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll of the council?
Councilman Fogarty?
Yeah.
Councilman Lawson? Council Vice President Rego?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sousa?
Here.
Council President Rodrick?
Here, with the record show of 4 members are present. Councilman Lawson has indicated that he is ill today, will not make the meeting. Please rise for the salute to the flag. Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please read the first item?
The City Council of East Providence may meet in executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A1, discussion of the job performance character, ... of a person, provided that the person or persons affected have been notified in advance in writing. City Clerk Employee Agreement.
Council President, I move to go into executive session.
Second. Motion by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Council Vice President Rego. Move into executive session according to Rhode Island law at this time. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Shall return shortly. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. A motion to return to open session.
Motion to go into, to return to open session.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Motion.
opposed? Nice have it. Yes, Councilwoman.
Motion to seal the, for the.
Motion to seal the minutes by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that, 4-0. Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
The consent calendar, you have council meeting minutes for August 20th, 2024, regular meeting minutes, September 3rd, 2024. Excuse me.
Oh, all set?
We take a 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess. So ordered. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We'll call us back from recess. And let's continue with the consent calendar.
Council
Have the-
meeting minutes, August 20th, 2024, regular meeting minutes, September 3rd, 2024, regular meeting minutes, September 17th, 2024, regular meeting minutes, September 17th, 2024, executive meeting minutes, October 1st, 2024, regular meeting minutes, October 1st, 2024, executive meeting minutes, October 8th, 2024, regular meeting minutes. And you have 6 notice of new property numbers.
Yes, and you don't have to read all of those. That's new property numbers, which is a very routine item.
And you have tax abatements in the
Tax-
amount of $6,196.28.
Motion to approve the consent calendar as read.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza to approve as read, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next
You have
item.
the option to bundle licenses 1 through 7. These are solicitor licenses, special events. And that option to bundle excludes items 7 and 8, which is an annual renewal and a license review for an entertainment license.
So I make a
Yes,
motion to
Councilwoman.
bundle licenses 1 through 6.
Motion to bundle items 1 through 6 from Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have that.
Make a motion to approve licenses 1 through 6.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Souza. Is there a second? By Councilman Fogarty. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that. Thank you. And continue on the
Number 7.
number 7. Is there a,
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great night.
thank you, good luck.
Good luck with your business.
Is there a motion for number 7?
Ready to read it?
Okay.
Annual renewal of miscellaneous licenses, authorization granting to renew subject licenses excluding alcohol beverage licenses for year commencing December 1st, 2024 upon application by licensee and approval by chief of police and as required by health inspector and other city officials.
So Vice President, I'm sorry, this excludes alcoholic licenses, so this, yeah. You're okay to stay.
Yeah.
So before moving on this docket item, I did want to exclude or remove for further, for the next council meeting, one of the businesses to come before the council before approving one of the licenses that they hold. So I don't know if the rest of the council has anything that they want to discuss.
I'd like to hold another license as well at this time.
Okay, so personally, I think if the council's okay, I would prefer in the future if instead of bundling all of the licenses under one renewal, we could separate them or, so currently we do the business, then we do the liquor, and then we could have a separate for entertainment, because those are additional licenses that businesses acquire or seek approval for. I don't think the Sunday ones have any consequence to us, but the entertainment I know has been an ongoing concern at some establishments, and I just want to be able to separate those instead of bundling, so that way a business can operate, but maybe not all of the licenses under the business are approved at one time. So
Sure, we have that option. That makes some sense. We can,
So since these are commencing on December 1st, we still do have the month of November to be able to issue or approve licenses. So I would make a motion to continue this to the next first council meeting in November, but separate them into the 3 different categories. Yes, please.
motion by Councilwoman Souza, as she stated, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All,
Could I, before,
Yes.
so to the extent that you want to notify particular license holders that you have some questions, because most people won't show up for this, right?
Right.
So the clerk will need to send a letter to these whoever the licensees are and saying that you'd like them to appear
So we can email that request, or is
to the
it?
clerk's office and she can.
Yep,
we'll
okay,
put it on the agenda.
perfect.
So Councilman Vice President, whatever that license is, I don't know what business you were talking about, and Ms. Souza has already indicated one that she mentioned, but.
So,
let the clerk know.
yeah, this is the time where we can bring in a business for, it's the renewal.
Because it's a renewal period. You still have to give them notice that you have my questions and you might, but yes, yes.
I think you might have an idea. who
Well,
wants-
actually, I don't know. I don't want
Oh,
to
okay,
get.
I'm surprised. I figured you would
No, I
have known.
don't.
All right. So anyways, I'll do that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's a motion and a second already. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have that. Till
Sure.
the 1st in November?
Would you advertise for today? Any advertising for this? Okay.
Madam Clerk, just to clarify, you know the ask.
Yes, except that do you want it on the October 29th meeting or the November 12th?
You might need to give businesses time.
The
November 12th.
12th.
November 12th.
Sufficient. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Minas Cafe Entertainment license passed April 2nd, 2024, subject to a 6-month review. The business is located at 315 Waterman Avenue.
I believe this was scheduled from before that we indicated we'd have a 6-month review. Anyone on the council have anything to add at this point?
No, I think I haven't had any complaints or inquiries from the residents since we had those multiple meetings. There have been some conversations just on follow-up with residents, and it seems to have been going well thus far with the location. So I am okay with renewing their entertainment license for the full year.
Anyone else? I know I have not received any complaints at all.
As long as the councilman from that ward and you at large are comfortable, I'm comfortable.
Is there an action required tonight, or is this just a review?
Mhm.
We weren't holding that a permanent appointment up based on this review.
Well, their license is due for
We
renewal,
do anyway.
right? So we would,
Okay, so that's a good report. Next item.
Annual alcoholic beverage license renewals. Please refer to Exhibit A for business listings.
Are we gonna hold these or are we going?
Yeah, but we are going to vote.
No,
on
this is
these.
what I'm saying. Are we gonna hold these or are we gonna go? Are we
Yeah,
tabling?
this
Alright,
was part of the table.
and I don't have-
Don't even vote on, yeah.
So this was advertised for a public hearing tonight. To the extent that you want to put it off for another date, you just got to continue it without advertising for the new date. whatever date it is. That's that.
Okay, so I make a motion to table without additional advertisement for the November 12th meeting,
Really got to continue the hearing.
continued hearing.
So the motion is to continue the hearing, which was for tonight, to the November 12th meeting without further advertising. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 3-0 with one
Same.
recusal. Thank you. Next item.
Under communications, we have Marissa.
Excuse me 1 second.
I still gotta fill out this form. All right, I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm sorry, continue. Under communications,
We have Marissa Jenkins speaking on a public safety issue with fence abutting J Street.
sure. Please come forward to the podium. Yep. And just list your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Custer. My wife, Marissa Jenkins, and I own the property on 74 J Street in Rumford.
Welcome, thank you.
The property is directly behind the old Union Primary School in Rumford, which has recently been converted to condos. And the fence in question divides the condo property with our property and two others on J Street. And then it goes up and divides another 3 to 5 properties on Hollyburton. The fence is quite old. It's rusted, it's broken, it has decent sized trees growing through it. And in fact, it also has a pretty huge hole in the bottom where animals can come in, and actually our toddler had crawled through it into the other property, and we couldn't get to him. I tried to get under there, and I cut myself pretty good. It was noted, so we have here the notes from the developer, Touchdown Realty Group, when they did the proposal. And in the notes here, it says that they are currently discussing with the city regarding responsibility of repair or replacement of the fence that is along the north and east sides of the property. The fence is in mediocre condition and needs repair and replacement. Now, since it was determined that the Realtor was not responsible, we were hoping that the city would take action.
Who determined that the realtor was not responsible?
The zoning committee?
Whose property does it lie on?
So it's there, they said it was the city's property, the city's fence.
It was the city's, excuse me, sir. It was the city's fence when the city owned Union Primary. So I'm thinking on transfer of the property to the developer, that it's now his, I'm like, when I buy a house from you, the fence is on my side of the property. It's my fence now. It's not the past holder of the land. So that fence would transfer with the property, correct? So it's the responsibility of that property owner, i.e. Touchdown real estate or developer. It's his responsibility or that corporation's responsibility to maintain property.
Mr. Jenkins, when was that discussion with the zoning board? Do you have those notes?
This matter was before the zoning board for a use variance in March. That was, this is a R3 zone, I believe, where multifamily homes are not allowed. So to get the condos or the apartments, whatever they are, I think they're in they had to go to the zoning board for a use variance.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with property lines. It was just usage of.
There is a note in the file that there was a dispute, not a dispute, it was concern over who actually owned the fence, whether it was I read it to say, at the time they were before the zoning board, they weren't sure if the fence was the schools or the abutters. And that was to be worked out. They eventually determined that it was town's fence, city's fence. So you're correct. On transfer, they became who developed it. Not our fence.
Wouldn't a survey, so, okay, let's back up to construction stuff. So when you're doing a new construction, a land survey would have need to be done, correct?
It wasn't new construction.
So they took a school and, well, any construction, they still, the city government, the city office still requires land surveys. I understand, but they took a school and made it into condos, so there was construction, so permits.
The footprint of the building did not change. Everything was done inside the front door. So if there was a survey, there would be no need for a survey. I don't know if there was a survey, but it's not required that I'm aware of.
So my question, and it happens all the time, and the council president, we've received calls throughout my ward, and that's the only thing I can go on, is about minimum keep of property standards. I am here to protect my constituents. And this Touchdown developer is not living up to And I remember reading the articles in the local newspapers and watching it. I don't think he's living up to his end of the bargain to my constituents. So what course of action, just like minimum housing standards, do we have to enforce touchdown developer to do and become a good partner for this city? My concern are the 7 or 8 houses between Halliburton and the houses that are, abut that.
So if the,
And-
I'm sorry, were you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
To the extent that that the fence may be in violation of the minimum housing code or the minimum standards for the city to enforce through their inspectors, I believe that Mr.
Savory?
Savory, sorry. I believe Mr. Savory went out there to look at the fence. I don't know if they were cited or not. I don't believe they were. So I don't know the condition. As of today, I don't believe they've been cited for this fence that might be in disrepair.
Have you had any I'm sorry.
Sorry. Again, I've gotten phone calls from elderly people who have gotten stickers on their property because their grass might have been a little high. And this is beyond grass being high.
I'm not suggesting.
No, I'm just saying, it's an opinion. No, I'm just saying, I want to get peace in mind to this family and every other family up there. They shouldn't have to stay here. They shouldn't have to be up here tonight, first of all. And they shouldn't have to be worrying about getting a child caught under a fence or trying to go after a fence. I mean, that's wrong. And for that developer not to do this, it's appalling.
Through the chair.
Yes, Councilwoman.
So, Mr. Solicitor, could we inquire to the minimum housing officer to take photo, I don't know if he's taken photos or anything, but to contact and file a complaint on behalf of the council?
You have to do an inspection. If
Right.
the inspection determine that the fence was not proper or whatever, he would cite them, but I don't know that. So
Or can you send that request on our behalf?
we will send that request to Mr.
I
Savory.
believe you. Yeah, if you could send, because the council can't direct.
Thank you. And also, I think you did send us some photos. We can look at those. We can get new ones and we'll have minimum housing look at it. I want to ask you a basic question. Have you as homeowners, and not that this is your responsibility totally, but have you asked this ownership if they will fix the fence? Do you get any communication from them either way? Or
There were several community meetings with the attorney and the architect. And they were also present here at the zoning board when we're trying to hash things out. And it was determined because they did note the issue in the fence, but it was not contingent on approval for zoning. They didn't have to fix the fence. I think the drawings, which I can't find anywhere online, the initial drawings was they were supposed to remove the fence completely and replace it with greenery to enhance the neighborhood. Yeah.
you use the mic. Thanks.
They said a lot of things that they didn't follow through with, and there have been emails going back and forth. And like you said, we came to the zoning meeting, our neighborhood did, and they had their lawyer come, and nothing got accomplished.
So it appears what I've been able to determine, and Council Vice President Rigo, myself, I know state rep in the area, we've been looking into this. It seems like there was no zoning stipulation about the fence. So it right now would be in the hands of the city to do minimum housing, take that approach, have Mr. Savory, who's an inspector. He evidently has been out there. We'll ask him to give us a report or go out there again. And it's about the best we can do right now. If the zoning board made as part of their decision, a stipulation that that fence would be replaced, removed, repaired, whatever, we could easily enforce that, but it doesn't appear that took place. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't have, probably should have, but it didn't. So we'll ask the solicitor and our chief of staff, Zendi, and see her taking notes. If you could both get together and, hopefully tomorrow get word out to minimum housing, have them go out there right away. I know Mr. Rigo and myself have been by. We'll try to go by again and look firsthand.
Was this before the planning board also? Okay.
And you've had numerous conversations with Touchdown Developer or whatever he goes by, correct?
I don't
I-
know that I've had specific conversations with him. I talked to somebody on the zoning board and I talked to Catherine Kazarian. I know she also talked to the mayor and they have all been in touch with Touchdown directly, but I myself have not been.
I didn't know if any neighbors at that time, but again, at that time when this process started, like he talked about, I still remember being there because I wasn't your council person yet, but making sure that I wish that historical building was used for something else, but that's a story for another day.
Yes,
That,
I believe at the initial,
Yeah,
when they
that-
initially proposed it, Touchdown Realty was there.
that the greenery, the nice shrubs, it was gonna fit into the setting of your neighborhood,
Correct.
where it's a very green neighborhood. I mean, as well as most of our community is. So I thank you, and I, as your council person, I apologize. I apologize that you have to live with this, with an unruly neighbor. And because, when anybody else has a problem with the neighborhood fence, they come to a conclusion, it's usually done, well, let's split the fence, and you shouldn't split the fence on this one, but it comes there. So and then when you told me about your child, that just, anytime kids get involved, it even strikes a harder chord in me. And I'm, as your council person, I apologize that you have to live with that. And as I've been in communication with you for a while, I will do my darndest to make sure that Touchdown Development, Real Estate, whatever he calls himself, gets that fence fixed.
Thank you. My final question, not to belabor it, you folks, so you don't have to stay here. Are you asking to have a portion of the fence replaced, repaired? Are you asking for the entire length of the fence? What are we looking at?
Yes, the entire length of the fence. It's the whole thing is a mess.
I'm not going to say how old I am, but I've lived in Rumford my whole life. It's the same fence that's been there when I was 7 years old playing in that parking lot. And
And I'm sure you would not fit through that hole today.
No, I'm not fitting through the hole, but
Well, we'll do what we can. We'll have the staff get right on this. And we have been, exchanging emails and talking with state rep as you have. And, short of us going out there as a council and demanding something, we have to go through these steps. And we will get on it and keep in touch with us. Let us know what you hear, what you see. Okay? Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So, Council VP, if you don't mind, if we could have on this continued topic on the November docket to get an update on what has happened in
Sure.
terms of this,
Let's
specific.
put it down for review at the November meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. November 12th. So just for the folks who are still here, we will review this on November 12th. Thank you. Next item.
Under public comment, we have Patricia Resendez signed up.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Council President, members of
Good
the
evening.
council.
Welcome.
I just, I wanted to just be able to read mayor communications, but if I'm able to do that during that time, I'm happy to refrain from commenting at
If
this.
you want to read them now, then we won't do it later.
So we have two proclamations that we'd like to, that were submitted, and we'd like to acknowledge. One is a Native American Heritage Month. It's, if I may read it very briefly, during Native American Heritage Month, East Providence recognizes and honors the first people to call this nation home, while also committing to the collective and institutional work we must continue to embrace as we create a city that respects, values, and uplifts Indigenous people. Whereas over the course of the last few years, we celebrated the unveiling of new mural honoring the Pokanoket tribe, the development of the Mayor's Advisory Council on Indigenous Affairs, and the first intertribal powwow in the city of East Providence. And whereas we celebrate these achievements, we remind ourselves that they are but small signs of goodwill and progress in the journey toward truth and healing, while we fully educate ourselves on the histories and cultures of the first peoples in order to co-design a future that elevates Native voices and experiences where many of the predecessors sought their eradication. The Pokanoket tribe and the Pokanoket Nation and the Pokanoket Confederacy was the largest Indian nation in the colonial times in southern New England. And whereas the territories of Native peoples in southern New England were fairly extensive, and together, numerous tribes and bands formed the Pokanoket Nation. And whereas in Bristol, Rhode Island, at the head of the Narragansett Bay was I'm not going to say this properly, the lookout of the Pokanoket town known today as Mount Hope, which is at the seat of the Massasoit, the great leader of all Pokanokets. Whereas during King Philip's War between 1675 and 1678, the colonial government made it illegal for any male 14 years of age or older to call himself Pokanoket, or he would be put to death. And whereas the Pokanokets were called Wampanoags from that point on in history, but Wampanoag refers to a nation, not a tribe. And whereas it is incumbent that we remind ourselves of the price Indigenous peoples had to and continue to pay as a result of centuries of oppression, and we owe it to them to better understand, acknowledge, and elevate their place as the first peoples of these lands. Whereas East Providence commits to the lifelong process of learning more about the diverse Indigenous communities in our city as we work toward truth, justice, and accountability for all. Therefore, I, on behalf of Mayor Roberto Silva, on behalf of the city of East Providence, proclaim that November 2024 be recognized as the Native American Heritage Month in the city of East Providence. We also have included for the council's review is the September finance reports. Those are in your packets. We are also reminding the council as well as the general public that we will hold our annual Veterans Day ceremony on November 11th at 10 a.m. sharp at the Garden of Flags. We invite all of you to attend. We also want to let everyone know that we will be holding our annual holiday celebration on Saturday, December 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. here at City Hall Plaza with the rain date for Sunday, December 8th, 2024. In addition, appointments. We'll wait for appointments.
Yeah, we'll do that under appointments.
And then if the council could,
You know, the first,
I'm sorry?
don't you realize again, and this is this is a smile to your face, don't you realize that the first Saturday in December is a national holiday in the state, that's the Peace Providence College URI basketball game? You can't schedule any other events.
I apologize, Council Vice President. I'm not a big basketball fan. I'm known to be more of a baseball, hockey kind of mom.
I just did that to you last year. So.
But we'll have cocoa ready for you. I promise you that. And you can wear a Santa PC sweatshirt. And then just one last thing, if the council can just allow me to read into record, we have the Diwali Festival of Lights. Whereas Diwali or Deepavali is celebrated in autumn of each year by Hindus, Sikhs, Jainis, Buddhists, and others throughout East Providence. And Diwali is celebrated by lighting the diyaya, I'm not saying that right, or the oil lamp, which symbolizes dispelling darkness and bringing light into life with traditional offerings, rituals, and festivals. And Diwali is a festival of lights that includes traditions such as gathering with friends and family for community prayer, exchanging gifts, setting off fireworks, and decorating houses with colorful rangolis. And whereas Diwali is also the Hindu New Year and is celebrated on the darkest day of the Indian lunar month of Pratik, during the new moon. And for Sikhs, Diwali is the day on which Guru Hargobind, the sixth of 10 founders, was released from confinement by the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. I'm not going to say that properly. And whereas for Jains, Diwali symbolizes Lord Mahavir, attainment of nirvana. And whereas for Hindus, Diwali is a celebration of good triumphing over evil and that light will prevail over darkness. And whereas the Buddhists, Diwali represent the day Emperor Ashoka chose the peaceful path of Buddhism over destruction and carnage. And whereas diversity represents one of our greatest strengths, and East Providence will join all those around the world celebrating Diwali. Therefore, I, on behalf of Mayor Roberto L. Da Silva, on behalf of the City of East Providence, recognize the celebration of Diwali from October 28th to November 3rd, 2024 in the City of East Providence. Thank you, Council.
Thank you for the announcements. You had mentioned the veterans. Do we want to bring up, I know Councilman Lawson is ill tonight and not able to be here, but he did ask us to say that November 13th. And where is that, Councilman Fogarty? It's a dinner. All right, to be determined, we'll get it announced and we'll have it on the city website and the council website and social media. But November 13th will be the Veterans Appreciation Dinner. So with that, we will resume under public comment. Did you have anyone else, Madam Clerk? Okay, let's continue.
Did you?
With
want to go
appointments,
forward With appointments? Mike Kennedy, Crescent Park Advisory Commission, appoint to appointment 1 from 10/22/24 to 1/5/27, sponsored by Councilman Lawson. David Louise, Crescent Park Advisory Commission, appoint to appointment 4, 10/22/24 to 1/5/27, sponsored by Councilman Lawson. Dennis Theobald, Crescent Park Advisory Commission, appoint to alternate 1, 10/22/24 to 1/5/27, sponsored by Councilman Lawson. And Catherine Vieira Baker of the Crescent Park Advisory Commission, appoint to alternate 2, 10/22/24 to 1/5/27, sponsored by Councilman Lawson.
Motion by Councilman Fogarty to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Council Vice President Rego. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Under council members, council request update on all our funded projects discussed. Councilman Lawson, would you like me to read the list?
Hold off on reading it. I did ask the councilman if he wanted to table. He said no, to let it proceed. But so what I'll do is ask the chief of staff if you could summarize this list. I think Councilman Lawson realizes not here. He won't be able to obviously ask you issue by issue. If any other member here wants to follow up on any of these items, but in the meantime, if you can summarize the councilman's list, there are quite a few things there.
Sure, Council President, and I can run through this fairly quickly. There are some that we don't necessarily have an update on.
And just describe the area as you
Sure.
talk about it.
I'll
Thank-
go in order that was listed. I did mention to the councilman to the clerk that I would be able to have these, or I wouldn't have them ready for this evening, but we were able to get some from our directors. So Potter and Burgess parking lots, both parking lots have been paved. Fencing should be completed by next week. Still waiting for the solar area lighting to be delivered due to a back order. Lights should be tentatively installed by mid-November. However, once fencing is installed, the parking lots can start to be used. Pierce Field, we just received design proposal to complete upgrades at the stadium. We will be preparing a presentation for the council to identify improvements and to approve the contract at a future council meeting. I don't have a current update on the storefront improvement program. The community center plans and specifications are progressing. Bentley Builders is in the process of estimating final cost for project and should be presented to the council in the next month or so. The police department, I know demolition is, in terms of renovations, is ongoing. I know that they're in process of making that all come to fruition and they're adjusting. Crescent Park concession stand, plans are nearly finished. Projects should be going out to bid in the coming month. Kent Heights, the adaptive playground, the playground equipment currently is being installed. The final rubberized surface was to be tentatively installed early next week, weather dependent. The overall project is progressing. Walking paths, dog park near completion. Paving for new courts has received binder course. Top course should be installed in the coming months, along with the remainder of the walking paths surrounding the playground area. Parking lots improvements likely to occur in spring of 2025. The art utility box project, I'm sure you have seen some of them in progress. We've seen them throughout the city. We've observed several boxes being painted citywide, so that is ongoing. Old Point Park, walking paths are complete. Line striping and final pavement completed over the last month. Bench pads will be installed in the coming month, and electrical for lighting, will be completed over the winter, and the kayak mat launch to be installed this spring. Oldham physical building, so roof, windows, and doors. The roof project materials have been delivered. Asbestos abatement has begun, and roofing replacement is to occur soon thereafter. Placemaking is in process as well. I don't have a complete update on that one. The splash pad in Riverside has been ordered. Tentative install is March, April of 2025. The splash pad will be completed hopefully by Memorial Day.
That's a good summary. Could you just back up to letter G, event pad? Is there any update on that?
I don't have that just.
Okay, Council
I was
Vice
away.
President, did you have
Just
something?
returned today.
I can't fully speak for the councilman from Ward 4 who's not here tonight, but in our discussion about these projects, I think one of the issues, and maybe he wasn't specific in his request, is how much of the opera funds that this council allocated to these projects has been used and what is obviously not been allocated or used as the clock is ticking. Because on letter N, the splash pad, that ended up being a grant. So I think we allocated 450,000. I don't have my sheet. I don't have my sheets in front of me. So I think I would like it, and I think everybody here, I think that's where Rick was going with this, is to see what's available, because the clock is ticking. There's 60 days left. And if we're not going to leave any, I don't want to, and I don't think anybody else wants to leave any dollars on the table. If we can move into other projects, and there's one that, thank you, just sent me a report on Glen Line. If we need, as the DPW director said at the last budget meeting last week, that the Glen Line project might be coming up short. So if we can use some of that, just for example, splash pad, $420,000, whatever the amount is, to use that to complete the Glen Line Field project as well as the Bourne Park project. I think that's the intention of this council, is to make sure that everything gets used at the time, and as well as my fellow council person to the right here, Councilman Fogarty, fighting for infrastructure projects. If there's some money that we can use to upgrade water, sewer, paving streets, sidewalks, now's the time. As I just don't want to come December 30th and say, oh, well, here they all are. We're just gonna put it here. And again, I'm just speaking for myself, but that's what we need at the next meeting, is to see what's been spent and what's been allocated and where we are with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Yes, on the docket, I thought it was just a project update that we've been doing all along. So that's why this is what was provided, and I was away. However, the councilman who's not here this evening did request via an email separate and apart from what is on tonight's docket, an update on the financial part of things, which we are compiling and almost ready for him.
And just so we know, for anyone watching, I will get the exact figures, but I don't think the splash pads are 450. It was like 150. But I could be wrong, but we'll figure that, we'll get that. I seem to remember DEM grants around 150. $500,000 seems like a lot. But we'll find out. We'll get it exactly, but yeah. Okay, thank you. Next item.
Discussion and possible vote on city council subcommittee sponsor Councilman Lawson.
He did mention to me that if anyone here had a specific comment, but I think we could hold off on this until he's back. I know he's talked about having finance subcommittees and other subcommittees. I had mentioned at the last council meeting that generally that seems to work when you have councils like the city of Providence, where they have maybe 15 members, and they then have subcommittees that do a lot of the work. We kind of do subcommittees. We'll assign like a couple for veterans, couple for something else. But, I'm fine with if we want to make a formal process for standing subcommittees, we can look into that. But why don't we wait for him to come back and give us a specific idea? If there's nothing else on that, next item.
Requested report on Glen Mine Field detailed accounting. Discuss Council Vice President Rego.
Yes, Council Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, Mr. President. Again, the Chief of Staff provided me with this update. I got this tonight at 6:30. Thank you. And you broke it down. It's really an eye chart, and so. But I'm going to do a summation, and that's why I brought it up. And there's a couple of issues that I've seen, and a couple of my constituents have pointed out, and maybe you can transmit this back to the DPW director. So right now, there's approximately $160,000 left on these two projects, and that's why I'm saying to Dan thought we were going to be coming up short to make this complex equal to what's been going on throughout the rest of the city. So I think we're going to need to use some opera funds. But in the meantime, there's some solar pole, maybe that we can add some more solar poles and everything. But if you could have DPW check this, and it's been a concern to some parents and people walking by about the post where the new solar lights have gone in, that the metal fixtures are almost like a safety hazard if a child or somebody was to fall. So I haven't seen it up close. I got a phone call when I looked at it in the car, so I didn't go fully expected. But they were talking about the cement holding and the metal, the screws that hold the solar lighting panel in, that there should be some sort of covering for, obviously, children or people walking by. And again, I think we're going to need to allocate some more funds to this. So 160,000 isn't going to do what Director Borges, when he met me up there back in July of this past year, to do the basketball courts, to add pickleball, to do the tennis courts over, as well as fixing some of the, baseball fencing and around the big diamond field. 160,000 isn't going to cut it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I think the next item is yours. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Madam Clerk. Is that something we covered, the Veterans Committee update? Is that next? Okay, we did mention that on behalf of Councilman Lawson and Councilman Fogarty, who've been working on that there will be an appreciation dinner free to any veteran in the area on November 13th. Not sure if the location has been has been determined yet, but we'll get that out on various sources throughout the community. Next item.
Request for detailed breakdown of allocation as awarded to the EP Fire Department. 3.75 million Safer Grant Fund. Discuss Council Vice President Rego.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And this arises from the budget meeting when the fire chief came in front of us and talked about the Safer Grant Fund. Could we have the breakdown as far as what is per se fire personnel breakdown, equipment, anything like that? Could that be all broke? Could we get a report on that being broken down that way so that we know what is personnel and what is possibly equipment or non-personnel on this grant?
The short answer is I can get that information. I know that the chief went through some of that detail, as you mentioned, during the budget meeting, but I can have him break it out if it's possible to break out any further, more so than what he had already provided.
The Safer Grant was for a little more than $3 million or something like that. And that was for 3 years. And that's for 13 firemen for salary and benefit. So there's no equipment with them.
Correct. That's what I recall.
And that 3 million covers their basic salary. It doesn't include any forecasting, anything overtime, or it's just salary. It's their base salary and their holiday pay. Okay. And then their health, life, dental, pension. And then there's a cost of living increase factored in every year. So all these 13 new firefighters, so all their equipment, obviously their turnout gear, all their gear is separate from this. Okay, and that would cover. I mean, what was passed by this council a couple of meetings ago in July or August with their equipment, that would be, they're covered under that, factored in the new 13 firefighters as well, sir? I would think so, but I'm not positive on
I don't ask, but I think that the chief was anticipating getting 13 new people through the academy. This grant just pays for those salaries, so he just backed that out, if you remember from the budget. But all the equipment was anticipating that he would have those people on staff. So I believe that's correct, but we can confirm that.
Thank you.
And I also believe there was a restriction. I recall his testimony before this council that 50% of time, or even maybe more of their time, has to be devoted to fighting fires as opposed to rescue service. But we can get that information too.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it was being on the apparatus itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't be in the rescue, but the apparatuses go for emergency calls. Until the
Malcolm,
rescue
is
gets-
this the farewell city council meeting tonight?
No.
Okay. All right, wasn't too sure with the budget, because, the budget's over, so,
Now it's scheduled for the end of November. Well, I got about 6 weeks left.
Okay, we'll load up the questions for you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next item.
An ordinance and amendment of Chapter 17 of the revised ordinances of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended entitled Utilities. Summary, Section 17-183, 7 calendar day grace period to 7 business days for the sewer ordinance. Sponsor, Councilwoman Sousa.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you. This is also a public hearing, so a motion has been made by Councilwoman Souza to approve for discussion. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Councilman Fogarty. Any discussion from the council at this point? I'll open it up to the public for that portion of the public hearing. Do any of the three members of the public who are here tonight want to speak on this? Hearing none, we'll close the, oh, I'm sorry, our finance director is here. Yes, sir.
I just want to point out that we have grace periods. I'm not opposed to those. The concern that we have is the timing of it. Because we have, send the bills out once a month. And right now, we start the process after 7 days. So it takes a day or two to get to the printers, and the printers print and mail it out. What normally gets to the taxpayer weeks before, maybe a little bit more, maybe 2.5 weeks before the due date. And so if you're going to tack on another couple of days, you're shorting that window. And I talked to the tax collection department and the water department, and there's where it's just tight. They're not against it, but it makes the window much shorter. And in the tax collection, you'll get complaints periodically about, wow, we just got the bill and it's due. Why can't we get it sooner? I know we have this for the property tax, which is fine because those bills go out quarterly. So it's not a problem. It just, with the 30-day window, just makes it tight. I'm sure you are aware of it.
Thank you. No, I'm aware of it, and that's one of the reasons why I think having the 7 business days, because when residents get it 2 weeks before it's due, or in some cases, a week before it's due, it becomes difficult to then get to City Hall or go on. Most people don't want to go online and pay because they don't want to pay the extra fee. So this just gives that person who cannot get here during the week, and then Friday, the City Hall closes at 2. Weekends, nobody's here. So it just gives them those extra days to be able to get to City Hall without having it instilled upon them. But I understand. I don't see why it would change the process for sending out the bill. I think that would remain the same.
It just starts 2, 3, if we have a weekend and it's 4 days more. So it tightens so the person's now going to get it with less than 2 weeks. And we were already having issues with getting.
Why would they get it less than 2 weeks? So if they post it, so they received it 2 weeks prior, and then they pay somewhere during their grace period, it shouldn't implicate when the next one goes out. You're saying it's not going to post their payment in time?
No. So let's use November 1st. And if there's a weekend in you're 7, 8, 9, we're not going to start the process till the. And so now it's going to take a day or two to get to the printers and a few more days. So you could be 17 days out before the people get the bill. So now they've got less than 2 weeks. Just the process is the same, it's just the window. The taxpayers are going to, it's a sort of a catch-22. We're trying to give the taxpayers a benefit. We're doing this, we're shortening the window from when they get the bill to when they pay it. Now we're extending their grace period.
I don't know. I'm still not understanding how we're shortening the time. So they're going to get the bill at the same time. That doesn't change. Why would that change?
Because you're giving them 2 extra days.
But why does that affect the dates? So if it closes, go ahead.
I know what you're saying. Well, because they can't start the process till the end of the grace period. Because somebody could come in on that very last day and pay. So we have to wait till that's done before we start the process.
But that shouldn't affect what the person's usage is for the month.
But if they haven't paid, we have to stop.
Right. So but that's different. Right. No, I understand you. So you're waiting to see whether you're going to put a late charge on someone.
That's why you have to wait till the end of the grace period, because you gotta have all those things posted before you can.
Yeah.
Councilwoman, do you want to try to get further word from the tax department and see if there's more information? I mean, we could do this in November if you're not changing your mind. I mean, I'm just hesitant at times that when the people who are doing the work have some thoughts on it. And so sometimes the best of intentions, which this is, doesn't work the way we hope it will work. I'm not sure. I'm just
Yeah. I don't-
saying, I don't know the expedience if, we have people that are working with this every day. Maybe you even could come in and sit down with them.
Yeah, I would think maybe to revisit it now that I,
Mm.
I'm trying to grasp it myself on but it is all to do with the notices given and the time. So it's less time to pay it. At the end of the day, you're running out of the end paying it. That's what it sounds, so,
And I agree with the idea of
yeah.
some sort of grace period, because people forget occasions. Since we send the bill out every 30 days, it's,
Is there a way to do it where it's, because as we know, this used to be a quarterly bill. Is there any way to do it where we're doing 45 days?
bill, every 45 days.
Yeah, like extend the billing process so that it would allot for the grace,
So, we went from quarterly to monthly.
right?
We could look into seeing about going 45 days.
I just know that the the way it is now, though it does give some relief. It was done initially, I believe, right before the transition of monthly. So it had some benefit to residents, right? Because they had that window and it wasn't a huge impact with the billing. But now when we're going monthly, and I know for myself personally, I get it typically a week and a half before it's due. For other people, a week and a half might not be enough time to get to City Hall or to pay, depending on what because you never know month to month what that bill's going to look like. It can be $100, it can be $350. So to be able to, and we know how, a lot of people in this community work paycheck to paycheck. So anticipating or having the ability to pay that bill in a week and deciding whether or not you're going to get, how many groceries you're going to purchase that week because the water bill's due and I don't want to get hit with that fee because I couldn't pay the full bill and I'm going to still get hit with a percentage regardless whether I pay half of the bill or a quarter of the bill or none of the bill. That's where I'm trying to find the balance with the homeowner because it's not like the quarterly for the taxes where they know well in advance. Now, if they're late paying it after the grace period, which I'm still going to move for the 7 business days, they have the time, right? So they've gotten the 3 months or they have it a year in advance and it's consistent. It doesn't change. My, 1,200 quarterly is 1,200 quarterly. It's not going to change unless I get interest because I'm late. But my water bill fluctuates tremendously depending on all kinds of variables. So that's where I will continue the water ordinance for further discussion with the water department / tax assessor / you / chief of staff, and anyone else who wants to join the conversation to get a better handle. But I do think maybe it's 6 days. I don't know. But, it's the availability of someone being able to come to City Hall or to put it in the mail or drop it off where it's not going to affect them having to pay that extra fee. Because we have holidays that are on Mondays, so we lose it. And again, myself, I can't get here on a Friday, and I can't get here by 6 on any given Thursday. So it does, so people only have sometimes the weekend to put it in. And I'm assuming that the city's doing it on a faith basis, right? If the due date was on the Friday, if it's in there by the Monday morning, they've been graced with those 2-day that weekend, and they're not going to get tackled with, but I don't know if they get hit with a fee
So I think, you're on a track here. If we give it a little more time, would you withdraw the motion?
I
And
will not withdraw the, well, I
For this
will
part.
make a motion to continue this.
we have a motion on the second, on the floor. So we'd have to either amend it or,
Yeah, I'm going to amend my motion to continue this ordinance for this, the last council meeting of November.
and
agree with-
Councilman Fogel, did you second the amended? Okay, yes, Council Vice President.
So I believe that's November 19th.
So I'm just going to throw this out, Malcolm, as a scenario. I have to pay the,
No, not both, just the water.
right. So I have to, I have to pay my excise tax to the state of Rhode Island by the 10th of every month. So can we have the period being, the grace period being 10 days? Will that affect anything?
That would be very similar to what.
That's, it's similar that way, I'm just throwing out the grace period and everything. So that creates a problem on the backside for you.
The councilwoman said sometimes people take a week and a half before it's due. Now you're a week. You're extending from 7 to 10. Now she's going down to a week. That's the issue I have. It's not about the just trying to get the bills out and get them in the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Right. I think the issue is that they can't send out the next bill until the grace period's over.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
So 10 days is really, extending it 10 days is just doing what you said.
Yeah, it's same,
10
thing.
days is
Yeah,
the
it's same
principle.
thing, yeah. The thing that I would like to add on too is the in this economic times that we're in right now is we've had ideas about helping people that in neighborhoods affected by the bridge and everything. One of my goals was, help the whole entire city with the budget. And as I said last week, I think one of the things we could look at and is that we reduce the penalty and give it a scenario. We end up we had that program last year where we basically absolved everybody's sins. So we should think about doing that for, again, for a while. No penalties, we make money off of it. But I think if we thought about giving $50 gift cards out to people, I think reducing the penalties on late fees on sewer bills. And I'm not saying the property tax, I'm just saying the water and sewer bill, that maybe we should think about that would be a good avenue for the constituents in the city. I'm just throwing that one.
Okay, so as far as this, though, motion, you're okay with the amended?
So we'll table 1 and 2 of the public hearing for final passage.
Both of them.
Continuing, yep, we're continuing.
For the 19th?
Madam Clerk. 11:19, correct.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing, and all in favor of the amended continuance to November 19th?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman, for that. Next item.
Appointment, reappointment requiring council confirmation. Matthew, appointment to zoning board of review, Ward 2, appointment 6, term 5 years, 8/21/2024 to 8/20/2021.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza to approve.
Second.
Second by Council Vice President Rego. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that. Thank you. We already did the items for announcements. Next, please.
Resolution authorizing the, actually, did you want?
Nothing to report on executive session.
Resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds to support the East Providence Historical Society's horse-drawn holiday hayride event. Sponsor, Council Vice President Rego.
Thank you.
Are you driving the wagon?
You know it. I can't wait to get you in the back.
Yeah.
No.
I want to rephrase that, but go ahead.
Get you in the back of the buggy. so,
Yeah, yeah,
you
just
and-
don't make it any worse. Go ahead.
No,
No fortitude.
no. Well, all the people, yeah, everybody in the
We set you off, didn't we?
everybody in the back of the, when I take the sharp turn, you'll be on the side. But anyways, no, getting back to serious business. This was a program that, an event that was started by my predecessor, Council President Brito, who's now Senate President, Senate President, excuse me, Senator Brito. I don't want to get him in trouble there. So, I am looking for 700, a vote tonight on $750 towards this, hayride. It would,
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Councilman.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Manafort Brothers, Inc. for the Booth Avenue Slope Stabilization Project, sponsored Council President Rodrick.
It's within the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank water bond that will cover this.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fogarty, seconded by Councilwoman Souza, all to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Robert H. Lord Company, Inc. for the design, purchase, and installation of library furnishings, sponsor Council President Rodrick.
And the $127,375 is from a grant awarded by the Champlain Foundation.
Second.
Motion to approve, Councilman Fogarty, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
aye.
Ayes have it. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Resolution requesting the Department of Public Works purchase and install placemaker banners, sponsor Councilwoman Sousa.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Just. And I just want to read that resolution into the record. And just of note, when I looked on the finance report, there was a substantial amount of funds under that line item. So I know that we have monies available to have this completed. Whereas the city has previously purchased placemaker banners to adorn street lights in the city, and whereas some banners enhance the aesthetic streetscape of the city, like Riverside and Warren Avenue, and whereas placemakers banners also help celebrate various holidays, seasons, and other civic events. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the City of East Providence City Council requests the following: that the Department of Public Works purchase and install placemaker banners to be displayed on Taunton Avenue and to be changed out regularly to celebrate each season of the year. And similar banners be installed and purchased to state "Welcome to Rumford," and additional banners to be obtained to honor the East Providence veterans. So this is on the docket, and request is being made in an effort to, again, address one of the statements that the Council Vice President made about funds that are remaining in current line items that were allocated with the opera funds, placemaker banners being one of them. And I know we have started, and the process seems to be moving slowly from the person looking from the outside in. So whatever is being done internally, I'm just here on behalf of the council to give some guidance as to what we, or myself, speaking for myself, would like to see. Again, Taunton Avenue is our main entrance and thoroughway into the city. And though small improvements like the name of the city on City Hall, so that people know when they're coming down that that's City Hall, is a great addition. But I think we are far from where we should be and could be, given the funds that have been allocated to do so. So I move this for approval and look for some feedback and updates within the next 6 weeks from the administration on where we are with some of these orders.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Council Vice President Regal. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Next item.
Resolution requesting a review of all crosswalk and pedestrian crossing traffic devices in Plymouth City. Sponsor Councilwoman Souza.
Thank you. So, again, I'm going to read this into the record. Right here, thank you. So, whereas pedestrian crosswalk signals provide motorists and pedestrian enhanced safety and security at various locations throughout the city, and whereas many of the crosswalk signals are controlled, maintained, in the property of the state of Rhode Island and by the Department of Transportation, and whereas there are several crosswalks, signals, and pedestrian crossing devices that are not functioning and otherwise non-operable, and whereas repairing or replacing such devices will improve public safety and help protect the residents throughout the city. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the City Council of the City of East Providence requests the following: that the East Providence Department of Public Works conduct a review of all crosswalks and pedestrian crossing trafficking device within the city, and that all defective and non-functioning crosswalk signaling devices be repaired or replaced as needed with the help and support of the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, and that the review be done within a 6 months of passage of this resolution, and that the results be reported back to the City Council. The city clerk is hereby authorized to send a certified copy of this resolution to Director P.D. Alavidi of the Department of Transportation. So I move for first passage, and I have some items to add. Well, for approval.
Under discussion, Councilwoman Souza moves first passage.
So, a resolution.
I'm sorry, resolution. The motion is for first passage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Council Vice President Regal. The discussion.
Thank you. So I have this on the docket yet again today as a resolution with an official ask, because the last 6 months, when I have asked over 6 times or had this on the docket 6 times, the responses remain the same. We've ordered, we're waiting, we're checking it out, we're looking into it. All great answers, but no resolve. I have been speaking about crosswalk and pedestrian safety and public health consistently at council meetings throughout the last 4 years in various locations throughout the center of the city in which I represent. And that does not minimize the rest of the city, who also have additional safety concerns, issues that have been brought at some point or another before this body. It's interesting that there's a survey I noticed on social media asking residents about, do you walk, do you bike, a slew of questions, trying to get feedback. For what reason, I'm not sure. I think maybe looking at bike lanes or walking lanes throughout the community, which are great, right? Because we have a lot of people who do seek alternative transportation versus a vehicle. And with the increase in traffic, I'm sure a lot of residents and commuters are opting to not use a vehicle, which is slowing them down, but using other forms of transportation like e-bikes or scooters. I've seen a large amount of those throughout the city of recent, and I commend that. But if we're not dealing with the crosswalks and the signaling devices that make it safe for those pedestrians and cyclists, then why are we looking to change or to implement something like that? I know I looked back on some records that I've had, and this isn't the first time that I've been notified or inquired about options that the city could implement, and have brought it to the attention of the city. And so one of them being, and I think this is a great idea, and it's on the website, so certainly everybody has access to it if they're interested in public safety. The rapid, the RRFP, which is the rectangular rapid flashing beacons. So this alerts vehicles that a pedestrian is entering or approaching a crosswalk. There are many times, and that's solar. So there are multiple options, but solar would obviously not require any electrical to be involved, which may be something that would be helpful. The safety benefits reduce crashing by 47% and increase a yield response by vehicles by 98%, which are great statistics for safety purposes. I don't see why this isn't an option that the city could not have looked into. Now, I understand if some of the signaling devices are not city property and the process for going through the state can be cumbersome, especially when there are other priorities that the state transportation department has. But the city does have the ability to do other actions with requests by the state. So if the state can't fix a signaling device, then get permission for us to put our own signaling device so that we can monitor and take care of it. I think it's irresponsible of us as a city not to address this ongoing concern on major roadways throughout the city. So I am happy to add this to the record. Madam Clerk, I'm not sure if everybody on the council received that, but if we could add that to the record. And I encourage those viewing in the council, you can go on the Federal Department of Transportation websites. There are wonderful programs that have been implemented throughout other cities and towns throughout the country that have yielded great traffic safety implications.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Yes, Ms. Resendes.
Thank you, Council
Indeed.
President. Councilwoman, thank you for that. I just wanted to provide you with an updated report that I'm sure you will be thrilled with. So the report is that this is already being done. The city is working with VHB, a consultant who's already performed an assessment of all signals citywide. We're currently reviewing the findings and are working with the consultant to begin developing a capital improvement plan for signal improvements over the coming years. We do have a report. It's a 12-page report that specifies all of the traffic signals, emergency signals, pedestrian signals, locations throughout multiple areas throughout the city, recommendations, what's considered high priority, medium priority, the long-term planning. It's a very thorough report by the consultant. And this does include information in regards to coordinating with RIDOT to determine if they can facilitate improvements within a separate project along the state maintained roadways as well. So it's very in-depth and it addresses almost everything that you mentioned here this evening.
When was that report completed?
It's dated September 16th, 2024.
And what, so is that report now going to, where are we with that report? So now the city has the report.
We
What's
have the
next step?
report and we're currently reviewing the findings and then working with the consultant to begin developing the capital improvement plan to be able to provide these signal improvements over the next few years. There's multiple intersections mentioned here throughout the city. Some of them are related to the fire station, or they basically break them down based on high priority, medium priority, the long-term planning. It's very thorough. ADA accessibility issues, which we often talk with RIDOT about in terms of improvements.
When did we hire that consultant?
I don't have that in front of me, but I can, and I definitely the small font, but I can find out.
Said it was VHP
B.
or B as in boy?
B as in boy, correct.
VHP.
Can you get that? Are you at liberty to give that report to the council?
Not at this time, because I believe it makes it at this time, I can't, but I'm happy to go over all of this with the council and get all the
You can't
information.
mail it to us?
I could, yeah.
Yeah, just for information, there's no,
No, I'm not saying put it on the public record, but it can be emailed to the council.
Yeah, just mainly because of, if there's,
He passes it out now, it becomes a public record to everybody.
Right, yeah.
There's some sensitive information in here in terms of configurations, which is why, so it's a public safety issue, which is why I can't disclose.
I
it
wouldn't
at
say
this
go
time.
to the public.
Right,
but
right,
For the
yes.
council.
If it's given to the council outside of the council meeting.
Perfect. That would be helpful. And you say years, are we talking about a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan? What's years?
I can't answer that at this time. I'm definitely not a traffic signaling expert. We can check with the consultant, but my notes here, it's in the coming years. But it's, again, a very thorough report that specifies all of the process. And again, it's prioritized based on priority. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I flew in and I got home at 2 a.m. from my travels, so I'm a little weather today.
You flew in, your arms must be tired.
Well,
Because I know we have,
I landed.
we're going to have some opera funds, I think, left over. So I'm going to be looking for support to reallocate some of those for this, this project.
We'll look at that report. It'll be interesting to see what the DOT says about any of that, and if they'll.
Streets, yeah. All right, thank you. Oh, we'll take a-
Yep. So we do have the motion and second to go ahead and support this, and with the knowledge that we'll be receiving a report also. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman, for keeping on that. Next item.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase the property located at 0 Pawtucket Avenue. Sponsor, Councilman Fogarty.
Councilman Fogarty,
Yes,
please.
this is the lot across from the old Benny's on Pawtucket Avenue. It is listed as 0. It would be a good lot purchase for the parents that pick up and drop off at Kent Heights School for the overflow parking. Also would be a good for the winter for the businesses right there across the street. The little plaza there on Pawtucket Avenue. So I move passage.
Motion by Councilman Fogarty. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Souza, and with that, this will be funded by opera funds. All in favor?
All right.
Can I-
Aye. I'm
one
sorry.
second?
Yes, question.
So it's going through opera funds. And I read some of the contract. So the city is in full, so what's the city's intention? I believe last time when we spoke about this a year or so ago, or maybe more, it was going to be converted into a parking lot that the school would be able to use and faculty, and we wouldn't be selling it off to anybody, correct?
That's right.
I'm not gonna sell it, 'cause we just bought it.
Right, no, but I mean, things happen and things change, and I just want to be very clear that it's not.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. Councilman Fogarty and I have walked this for years when Benny's owned it, and it's just a dirt lot that would really help not only the school, but the neighborhood. And teachers can park there and get away from in front of all the houses.
With that lot, are we anticipating repairs or resurfacing that parking lot and adding light fixtures? Like, are there additional expenses?
I haven't heard about lights, but it will be paved. It'll be a regular parking lot.
Stripes and
Oh.
everything?
That's an issue for the DPW department once we actually own the property, but I don't know what their intention is for us to chief of staff. What they intend to do.
I don't have the extent of what's going to happen there. I know the idea was it was going to be paved over so that way it could be used and not riddled
Yes,
with
paved,
others.
assigned, striped, lines, parking.
Or
Curb, I don't know the full details of the curbing, but it's definitely a lot in use with lineage for the parents to
to be able to pull in and park.
Councilman, do you anticipate us using allocating additional funds or maybe coming out of the street paving? Like,
I don't foresee us using any additional funds out of that.
So it seems like the contract is already set.
I mean, I support the idea. It's been an eyesore for years, like when we talked about the old Benny's being there and everything. The only thing that I'm perplexed on, and that's why there was that question that Councilman Lawson asked about, is money. We were told meetings ago that there was no more opera funds, and this, and again, I'm supporting this, I'm doing it, but I'm scratching my head where we're coming up. If we've allocated all the opera money, where's the 160,000? I'm gonna vote yes, but I need to have some clarification, because now all of a sudden we've gone, Malcolm, I'm not putting words in your mouth, a couple of meetings ago said that we basically had dried up the opera funding, and now this is the second time. One, we put the kibosh on, and I'm not putting we put about the rugs in City Hall. I am not doing that because the people in Ward 3 have waited a long time for this property to be done. But I need to get some explanation as to where the 160,000, but I move passage as well.
Yeah, and
I'm happy.
Director could answer, but I do think one of the explanations I received when asking that is that there is unexpended funds. We may have made, I've forgotten now, but we've made some amendments and changes along the way. So I'm sure there are dollars
Sure. I actually,
available.
the funds are coming from a very specific, it was the unallocated funds that were ARPA related, based on what I came to this council to discuss when we were doing the PFAS firefighter equipment. And you had asked where those funds were coming from. I think it was about 600,000. This is from that same pool. This is the ARPA project that we did with Barrington. Correct, sir. Yep.
I just,
We had that. It's coming from that $1.6 million that was
all right, that
reimbursed
answers
to the
my
city.
question. I'm just looking at the opera funds from a year ago and everything. Thank you.
Yep, no, good question. Madam Clerk, did you get the motion and second on that? I
did.
forgot who. You all set with it?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you all. Next item.
Ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $5,500 for a scholarship to the East End Theater and Performing Arts. Sponsored, Councilwoman Suso.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So I have this before the council for approval. This is coming out of the already appropriated $50,000 that was associated with the citywide utility arts project. The funds in that were to used for the utility box art project and anything else pertaining to arts that the council or the arts committee might have, the arts council may have found appropriate. We have a theater in the city, Performing Arts, that has participated in the expansion of arts for our youth. And they have multiple summer camps that provide a space for young performers to be creative and to participate and gain knowledge and confidence in this, the world of arts. And so I think it would be a great idea to invest not only into the arts, but also into our youth by sponsoring $5,500 towards scholarships for residents of East Providence.
Very good
I move first.
off effort. First passage by Councilwoman Souza. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Council Vice President Rego. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next item.
Ordinance Chapter 2, adding Article 8, East Providence School Department Capital Improvement Revolving Fund. Sponsored, Council President Roberts.
So this is an ordinance which I don't know if we want to wait until we have a full council, but I mean, basically, it was discussed a bit at our last meeting, and there's some talk about, I will give a very quick summary. The high school bond issue has about $3.2 million left over, which is a good thing. And that was born, and that's a committee upon which I am a member of, representing the council once Councilman Cahoon left, and School Committee Chair Montero. And this is through years of being very careful with spending, pulling things out of the high school, putting them back in. And right about now, I checked it today, and the committee is ready to close out the bond. So the steps would be that the bond issue would be announced as closed by law and procedure. Any surpluses get turned over to the city side of government, at which point the city can do whatever they want with that money. The feeling on this council was that should be monies that stay for schools infrastructure and other needs. There are a lot of suggestions from some people at our meetings that the public, some say the public voted for this, give the money back to the taxpayers in the budget. Some say a number of other things. A consensus on this council seems to be, let's put it towards the school. So it got a little controversial last meeting, but basically this is an attempt to put in writing what some of us want to do. It is saying that the $3 million, and we'll have an exact figure at some point, but it's about $3.2 million, will go into an interest-bearing account. Right now, it receives 0 interest and can only be used for school items, period. Can't be used for city-side items. Superintendent of schools, the business manager, or the facilities manager would send a request. It does have to come to this council. I can't imagine that we would decline to pay for a boiler or other systems. So this was something I talked to the mayor about, I talked to the superintendent of schools about, and all we attempted to do was put in writing what many people want to do. And as you know, it got intertwined with some capital projects. So I just want to lay that foundation. Now, we don't have a full council. I know Councilman Lawson had some strong thoughts about this. Do we want to wait till the next meeting? Just remember, I think there's time because we haven't been given the closeout yet by the school bond committee. That will occur at their next formal meeting, I believe, which will be any day. So we could wait for that, first of all, to get the exact amount. But remember, whether we're purchasing fire trucks or we're trying to fix schools, the more we put off bureaucracy and paperwork, the longer it takes to get these things done. So what is your feelings, Council Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
First, I'm going to start out by saying that with this amount of money, I think we weren't going to spend it in the next 14 days. And I think because of the councilman having an illness, it would be I shouldn't use the word, it wouldn't be right to have a quarter of the city. I know you represent the whole city, but to have the council person who represents a quarter of the city not be here for a major financial decision on the city. So that's all I have to say. I've had my thoughts about how to spend the money. I mean, I'm very liberal, but can be fiscally conservative. If I find a way to lower my mortgage payment and lower the principal, I'm going to lower the principal. And I mean, and the schools are still not going to go without what they need based on what happened last week. So I just think it's right for the people of Ward 4 to have their representation in this matter. So I move that we move this item to the November 12th meeting.
Sure. That's a motion.
That's my thought.
The discussion, motion by Council Vice President Rego.
Fogarty had some comments.
What?
Oh, I wasn't, that makes sense to me now that you said it that way, but I was in favor of it, make a motion to move it forward, but since you said it that way, I'll entertain that.
Sure. So will that be a second?
That'll be a
That's a second. And I think there's some time. I just urge the council to give this some serious thought. This is not an either or issue. It's not either school or either city infrastructure. There is money that does not affect the tax rate that is available to take care of all of these needs. And what better than to put $3 million in the bank and collect interest? Think of that interest on it. So let's revisit it. We have a motion and a second. Yes, discussion.
You raised a question now, and I'll ask the solicitors. Since I know there's a lot of red tape and in regards to bonds and everything, are we able, because we borrow the money from the state, and are we able to put this money then into an interest earning account, or is there anything that prohibits it since it really wasn't our money? When he mentioned that about earning interest, which I think is a great idea, but are we, the state has all sorts of regulations. Is that I'm just asking.
I wasn't the bond counsel for the city on this project, but I'm assuming that you've had discussions at your committee level, whether this is able to be done. I know
That's
that-
the answer that we've received. If it stays in the current situation, there is no interest.
I can reach out to the bond counsel to get that.
Because I mean,
And I don't know if Malcolm, do you have an answer
the
on
former
that?
council authorized the high school bond, so we or two councils. I mean, it was really done.
Oh, it was a community vote.
Yeah, community vote. Yeah, so.
But I wonder if
Malcolm can
our
answer.
finance director sees it as I've explained it. I think it's pretty clear that once that money is turned over to the city, it goes into a dedicated account, schools only, interest bearing.
I think we can do that. It's just the process of how we do it.
I knew there had to be a something. I knew there had to be a twist.
And so we'd have to, as the solicitor said, we need to talk to bond counsel to do this right. So it would be one of two ways. If it's done, I would think that one of the options would be to take it and use it to pay down the bond, which then in theory would free up $3 million at the end of the fiscal year, which would that you could roll into a separate fund. So that may take a little bit longer. But if it's done by the end of this year, but then it could be done in say November. The other one is, you just take it out of that, and you just draw it down and put it into the account. So I think we can get there. It's just a matter of when, but I just want to confirm with Ellen, bond counsel for this. Oh, Ellen, Cormo. I think, well, I'll reach out to the bond counsel.
Sure. So between now and the next meeting, maybe get that
I will
answer.
say-
Either way, even if there's no interest, there's $3 million for schools.
No, but it's a great,
Yeah.
we'll have all our answers right. I mean, now this makes another reason why we were jumping into the 10-foot water and we should only be swimming in 4 feet water. We didn't have all the answers here. So I think by us discussing it here tonight, that we raised issues that weren't in front of us and bringing it back. So if we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. I mean, so I think we'll have.
Well, it has been, in my mind, I'm almost.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
This
saying
was
you did
the,
anything.
no, not me or you, but this was the bond council's advice from that school bond committee, right?
I will say, Council President, Council Vice President, that this is a typical thing that happens in school bonds. This ordinance is actually modeled after an ordinance that Tiverton put into place that I was a part of. Yeah. I'm a solicitor in Tiverton as well. They're lucky, right? So just as lucky as these provinces. But what you need to know, just to make sure you're aware, is that this money as written can only be used on RIDE-approved projects, and RIDE-approved projects have a reimbursement.
Reimbursement.
So say you get a 35% reimbursement rate and it's a $100,000 project, right? And you take money from this and you put it 100,000. This ordinance says you pay the $100,000. RIDE then reimburses you $35,000. That's 35%, assuming that's the reimbursement rate for East Providence. And that money goes back into the fund. So it keeps on funding itself. That's why they call it a revolving fund. It's a lot. By the way, this is not something I invented. A lot of cities and towns do this for schools. But it's just a way to keep the money flowing into the school departments from leftover bond monies or other things. And the ordinance also, as set up, allows the city council or the school department to put other funds into this fund, other monies into this fund when they deem appropriate. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all bond money as well.
It could almost be, as an analogy, a rainy day fund. We don't have to spend the $3 million next month. We fix a boiler, we wait, they have another pressing need. there's some talk about security systems and, yeah, so it's a win-win in my mind, but.
My
Yep.
point is that $3 million, assuming your reinvestment rate is 35, reimbursement rate is 35%, that's going to keep on generating more.
Exactly,
revenue,
yep.
Fix more problems. And it's a good program that other towns have adopted. But whether or not you want to do it that way, that's entirely up.
Sure. So we'll get further word from the school bond group that they close out and actually turn the money over to the city, and we'll get a couple more questions
Yeah, I
answered.
think the sentiment and everybody's on board with the school getting money to do infrastructure repairs. I don't think that's the issue. It might be just some of the language. All right,
Okay.
Thank you.
and-
Motion to adjourn?
Hold on.
hold on. Motion,
No, we haven't voted on this. Do we have the right motion in second, Madam Clerk? All in favor?
Aye.
Nick, did we?
This is a motion to continue to the November
To the November, is it 19th?
Well, you
Meeting.
said November 12th. That's what I wrote down, but if you'd like.
Oh, well, whatever the first meeting is in November, I don't want to delay this. November 12th would be fine.
Is that the first meeting? Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
We're going to take
Oh,
the vote.
sorry. We guys,
All in favor of moving this? Any opposed? The ayes have that. Council Vice President Rego, motion
motion to adjourn.
adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed?